Hi, how you doing? Eric here. Just as a point of reference, the unit that I'm in right now is a Montana 3750 FL. It's a front living unit. Um, 3 years, about 3 years ago, so we installed a Splendide 2100 XE. It's a washer dryer combo. Worked good for a year. We winterized the unit at the end of the year. And in the spring, when we de-winterized the unit, started getting everything all back together. First camping trip we went out on, we're going to do laundry, and the unit did not drain, which was pretty discouraging since the thing was just over a year old. The warranty was expired and whatever. Anyway, so a couple $100 later, we're replacing a pump. And these things are not the easiest thing to deal with because generally they get stuffed into closets or tight spaces, so they're not easy to work with. So if you're going to try to attempt this, I want to help you out and maybe make this as easy as possible. It's probably going to take you a couple hours to do. Watch the video all the way through first before you start getting into it, and hopefully it'll make things a little easier. So I'm going to spin things around first. This is our Splendide 2100 XE. I'm actually doing what I'm doing because the washer did not drain again. Like 2 years after I fixed this thing, it looked like we had the same pump problem again. It wasn't, it was something else, so I'm going to shine a ray of hope on your parade, hopefully. So, what I want to point out first is that on the bottom, if you look closely on this side and on this side, there is a, it's not a 2x4, but it's an odd, 1.5 by 3 or something. It's just an odd sized piece of dimensional lumber. You can use a 2x4. I would recommend, if you want to do that sort of thing, put in a 2x4, pressure treated 2x4. And the reason for this is, if you have a pump failure, the first thing you're gonna need to do, want to do, is to get the water out of the drum. The only way to get the water out of the drum is through that drain right there. That black cap right there is the cover over the top of the pump, coincidentally also. You cannot just unscrew that because all the water is behind it. Once you start to unscrew it, water will start coming out of it. If you take that plug all the way out, you're going to dump everything onto the floor. So what you need is a pan or pans to catch the water. You can get creative. I ended up trying to modify a funnel to get underneath that so I could just drain the water right out the door over here, but that didn't work, and it was more effort than I really wanted to go through. So if you put it up on 2x4s, that gives you a little bit of clearance right there. And then you might look at the sink right there, and I got those 2-inch thick pans that are sitting right there. They fit very nicely underneath there and drain the water out. Now the big thing I want to caution you on is under the center of this thing, left and right, all the way back, there is a piece of sheet metal. It is thin. It will support no weight whatsoever. Do not put in anything underneath there and try to lift this thing up from the center. You're going to bust stuff. What you need is a flat pry bar or something like that to get underneath the unit, lift it up, get a thin piece of wood on one side, do the same thing to the other side, and raise it up high enough that you're able to get whatever you're going to put in underneath it on the extreme right and the extreme left, because that's where the support is, front and left and right and back. That's it. That's all the support you got. And put that in so that the unit is up off the ground. Then you're able to go ahead and get pans or whatever in underneath and get the water out. Once you've got the water drained out, and pay attention to the water also, see if it's got lint in it. It doesn't have to be clumps, but just the fact that it has lint in it is a good clue. So get the water out, pay attention to that. Once the water is all out, if you're having a problem getting the unit unlocked, because it may be stuck on that spin cycle, and if you reset this, it wants to go through the whole cycle again, which the door is locked and will not unlock. Unplug it, unplug the unit, and then go down to that green tab. That green tab right there is a manual lock override. So you pull on that, and that releases the lock, and you'll be able to pop open the door. So if you got laundry that's stuck in there, you'll be able to get it out, go to a dryer, and dry it. So while your partner's taking care of getting the laundry dried, and you've got the water drained out of it, the next thing that you want to do is, in paying attention to that water, if that water showed signs of lint in it, and I'm going to point this out right here because of the problem I had. If you look there, that's what I'm talking about. That's actually a greater concentration than I was seeing beforehand, but that's a bunch of lint in it. Unlike a normal dryer that traps lint in a lint basket or a screen or whatever, this one drains it. It gets rid of it that way, through the drain. And now I'm, after experiencing what I just did, it doesn't do it that well. So if you're seeing lint like that, that's actually good for you. So the next thing that you need to do is to go ahead and put that cap back in. Make sure that's tight. Get the power back on. Make sure you have water again. Turn the setting to a number 2. Number 2 is a heavy cottons. There's an extra thing that this does, and I have to look it up, and I'll figure out what it is, whether it's a quick backwash or whatever. This unit was, again, it acted like the pump had failed. The water would not drain out. I got the water out of it, and prior to getting this thing set up to replace a pump again, and that's what I was doing with the wood, drain the water out, but also to make it easy so I could pull it out, pull the bottom off, pull the pump out, and replace it, was I saw a troubleshooting aid. I think it was in Google. It wasn't a video. And the person who did this had typed up, you put the unit on a number 2, which is a heavy cottons, and then let it run its cycle, starting from empty. And okay, so whatever step was in there was something in there. When the unit started, it sounded like it either back flushed or whatever, and then drained. Now, in the other video, I talk about the fact that drain hose was actually connected to this, and it was suspended in midair because there was nothing in it, just air. There was no weight. When it did that, when suddenly it sounded like it back flushed and then drained. It only lasted 2 seconds. It sounded like it drained and went back out, and there was weight in the hose. That hose was now no longer suspended in the air. It was actually touching the ground. And then the unit went into filling up. And then it went through its wash cycle, and then it got to the point where it needed to drain, and it just drained right out. Filled the gray tank, into the gray tank and into the hose. Now, I flushed the gray tanks out, so those tanks are fairly clean as they're going to be. And if we were to go out there and look, actually, if you're able to freeze frame and zoom in, you can see there's just like clear water sitting in that clear plastic elbow. But if you go over there and you look at it, because I've already been out there, there is that fine lint in it, again, just like that. So that lint got built up in there, and it has clogged whatever unit it was that allows it to drain, whether it's the impeller or whatever it is. I'm not sure, but try that. So yep, you're going to fill the tank one more time. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, that way you got to drain the water out again, and you already are all prepared. You have all your stuff you need. If it didn't work and you're going to have to change the pump out with it, with it properly set, I'm going to flip back around here again. Sorry. So on these dimensional lumber, you can add additional lumber out here in order to slide the unit out a bit more, and then something for the face to keep the knobs and stuff from being damaged. You could probably just pull them off, and then in my case, I'm going to step up again and turn around. There's not a lot of room in the bathroom. I mean, the bathroom is pretty good size, but I'm going to have to lay something down on the floor and then rotate the unit this way, so the underside, the bottom of it is facing me, so I can work on it. But when I do that, the pump will be in the lower left-hand corner, and it's pretty easy to get to. So, and having done this once beforehand, once you get to that point, it's not that hard. There's two electrical connectors that you can't mess up. They go on a particular way, and I think 3 screws, and there are 2 hose clamps and 2 hoses. There's an inlet hose and an outlet hose. So really, all you need to get the unit out, if you're set in a plastic tray, I took the front off, so that this is the front of the plastic tray. The screws that are included with that are 5/16 inch drive screws. Back that out. Double-sided tape that keeps that front lip there. It is not waterproof. Not waterproof. I'm contemplating what I'm going to do with that lip, whether I'm going to put it back in. I'm definitely not going to put any tape on it. It doesn't hold water, so and it doesn't hold much water either. So that's how that comes off. The panel, we talked about that briefly. This white panel sits on the bottom. Sits on the bottom underneath here. All you have to do is press on the underside just to flex the plastic. That unclips. Those come off, so you can get to the front of the pump. And it's just a matter of swapping the pump out and then getting the washer back up and back into the cabinet. So that's kind of down and dirty, but that's how it's done. There's an earlier video that I did when I had to change this pump out, going through the whole thing and sitting in the same position with the thing running and being very happy with that. It's important that you look at the stuff that could go wrong with it and weigh the options. I could have just said, the heck with it, I'm going to change the pump out. It's failed, and I would have been out $200 and another couple hours of my time pulling the thing apart and putting it back in. So when all was said and done, after draining it, changing the settings to number 2, and then running that, it probably would have been, beginning to end, 2 hours, and that was 2 hours of waiting for it to, do its thing, drain, run, whatever. So kind of a happy ending with that. At the end of the season, I think what I would suggest doing, highly suggest doing, is, if you've been using that, is to run it on that setting, number 2, and just for an added insurance, and then ensure that when you winterize, that you drain that out. Having the unit up off the floor, if you have a floor mounted one, is going to help with getting that little bit of water that's left in there, which won't be much, but it's enough that freeze up, could break something or whatnot. Just, it's not a good idea to leave water in a unit that's going to freeze. So that's it. Hopefully that's helped. If you have any questions, please message me. I'm more than happy to help if I can. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe if you want. This is kind of no frills videos. I don't do all the flashy, stuff. This is not a, some sort of video series or, channel. It's, me working on stuff. So, all right, have a good one. And, yeah, it's going to be a good day.